Hello, my name is Julio Diaz. Welcome to Guitar Memories. Today, I'm excited to introduce you an amazing guitarist, a person who I look on the stage from a great band, hoping all the theories exist. AJ Lozada.
Hello, hello. My name is EJ Lozada. Nice to meet you, everybody on the podcast, and of course being here with Mr. Julio. Uh, yeah, I'm EJ. I'm from Hoping Authors Exist, a progressive metal band from a small town called Jacksboro, Texas. Well, three of us, we started there in high school, and yes, we've been playing since then. So
Nice, AJ. Well, I want to ask you uh, how you decide because I talk a little bit with your aunt.
oh, okay,
She
yeah.
told me uh, he get the music inside him. How you know when was the first moment you said, uh, "I feel the music. I want to explore the music."
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I guess honestly, from whenever my brother and sister they were listening to like all sorts of metal, Corn, Static X, Linkin Park, and I don't know. I thought it was really crazy at the time. I was like, oh, this is it. Sound my brother and sister had a truck or a car. I forgot, but they had a sound system, and I thought it was a boom boom. And I thought it was really cool as a kid. And then hearing all my brothers had another sound system in the house, and then I was like, all right, this is really cool. And then they would play all sorts of I guess that would be metal rock for me at the time, and I would just sleep to it. I'd like sleep underneath the blankets, and they'd be like, "Is he awake or is he alive?" But no, I'd just be sitting there listening to the Linkin Park, especially like all those bands, and I felt that as a kid. And then whenever I saw my sister playing saxophone, I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy! There's so many buttons. It's shiny." And so like I saw her playing, she was like, and yeah, it really impacted me. I guess I didn't think I was gonna play music in the future. I was thinking more like, whoa, this is cool. I want to do something weird. But then I guess in middle school, I was like, I had the opportunity to play saxophone, and I was like, my sister played sax, so I want to do that too and be like my big sister. So yeah.
That's really nice. But you start with saxa
Yep.
and
Saxophone.
switch with the guitar, right?
Yeah. So later in middle school, well, I guess still in middle school, I kind of started guitar in middle school. Which is like usually from like 12 to 30 or like 11 to 13 middle school here, 7, 8, 9, or 6, 7, 8. Um, so when I got to seventh grade, a buddy, his name Jesse Hurd, really good friend. He's actually, we would consider him one of the original members of Hoping All Theories Exist before he decided to go do his own thing, which he's awesome, awesome guy. Powerlifting, we did powerlifting, but coming back to the story, he got here in seventh grade, and he came from Denton, and I don't know if you know much of Denton. It's big music city, or has a big music school, so naturally there's music everywhere in that city. And he came from Denton to Jacksboro, and I saw him play guitar one day. I forgot he either brought it up to the school, like or Brady the drummer like met him first and like met and like brought him over. I don't know. I'm probably making that up, but the point is, I saw him playing guitar, and I was like, "Whoa, that it sounds cool." He like the way he was playing it was really cool. Like the shape of it looked cool, and I was like, "Whoa, this is all really cool for me. I want to try to play guitar." But I was kind of discouraged at that age, and I didn't want to like start. I don't know what it was, but instead I picked up bass, which, funny enough, I have the bass right here. This was a bass. It's ESP LTD or LTD. My bad. that my dad got me. It's not in tune right now, actually. Weather, been cold and hot here, so it's kind of fluctuating. But this was the thing he got me, the bass. I was like, oh, this looks easy. Like I could play this and maybe eventually play guitar because, you know, two more string plus two, then you got six strings of guitar. That was my mindset then. But I started playing this and I was like, okay, I really like it. And then I guess when I finally got into high school, I was starting to work a little and I kind of made some money. But thankfully my mom was really cool and she got me this guitar, which was not string right now, I wasn't preparing this one for the interview, so my apologies, but this is like a little bit of history as well. My first electric guitar that my mom bought me at Radio Shack. If anybody here young enough knows about Radio Shack, or old enough, I guess. The young kids won't know, but Radio Shack had a bunch of like amps and TVs and furniture and electronics and guitars. So that was the cool thing that I saw there, because Jesse, going back to Jesse, he had a Strat too, a Fender Strat, an actual Fender Strat. Mine's a Squier, which nothing wrong with the Squier, of course, but I saw it for like $150 and I asked my mom to help me pay for it and bought it. And then I just started trying to teach myself and then watching Jesse play, and, you know, Jesse would show me some riffs and stuff, and I like try to apply, you know, the musical logic, I guess you could say. It's like, oh, put finger on here and press, put finger on here and play, you know. So, and that started, I guess, when I was like 14, 15, where I started to pick up the guitar and kind of put down the bass. And then since then, I guess, yeah, I've just been playing like just rock, and eventually I got into metal and stuff like that. 8th grade, after Jesse got here, Brady got here, kind of giving some lore of my musical journey with these guys because they contributed a lot to my musical journey. Brady, he played drums. You'll see him later, or if you've seen the band, heard the music, he plays drums. And he had an older brother that listened to like death metal and like deathcore and metalcore, all these cool, like cooler bands that I had never heard of. I thought the heaviest music was, you know, exactly Korn, Static X, Linkin Park, Stone Temple Pilots, you know, all those bands I thought were super heavy at the time. Until Brady got here and he showed me the music that his brother was listening to. So then I started listening to All Shall Perish, Wretched, who else? Like a lot of those kind of deathcore, death metal bands. Like he showed me first, and then that's when I like really, really fell in love with music. I was like, whoa, it sounds evil, it sounds fast, it sounds crazy, and it sounds cool. Like, what is this style of music? Death metal, what is this? Or metal in general, like, or like a heavier metal than, you know, new metal, I guess, or like hard rock, which is, I don't know, there's levels. I see it as levels. And man, it's just, it's been a crazy journey so far, listening to all that, and, you know, going to college and then kind of finding my path from there. So, yep.
Nice. Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Well, I want to ask you, because you get classes for saxo, yeah?
Yeah.
But when you decide to switch for the bass and the guitar, you learn because you're friends and for yourself, but it's early 2000s, right?
Yeah, early 2000, 2008, 2009, you know, when I was in middle school, kind of around there, in 2010, 11, when I started getting into high school. So around that era.
But how was the process? You get some classes on YouTube or...
Okay, yeah. I guess the process, you know, first obviously sax, and that was with the school, so I was constantly playing sax through the school. But with guitar, they didn't have guitar or anything, as an option at school. So um, I guess yeah, more or less when YouTube was kind of blowing up and becoming, well, I'd say blowing up. It was still pretty like new. It was around 2007, 2008, 2009. You're not gonna see as much as you see today, but thankfully there were guitar videos on, of, well, not guitar videos but covers of bands like we discussed earlier. Muse, I really love Muse as well. Hysteria, I actually learned that on bass first because I heard the bass, like I thought that was so cool at the time. It's like fast and like punchy and technical in a sense, for Muse. So um I started learning. I like learned that on YouTube, and then like after a while, I was like, well, I can do the same thing with guitar. So I kind of saw some covers, and I'd pause it, or this was also before you could slow down the video. So like I had to go back a shit ton of times, like just like, oh, this riff, oh, I didn't see it. Let me go back after, and before you could even tap the arrow back, you had to click it manual, take it back to the section, and then remember, and then start practicing. So I kind of went from there, and then eventually, Jesse showed me like tabs and stuff. I was like, oh, there's a way you can read without learning notation, which obviously notation would be the more accurate way, but as a middle schooler, you don't know anything. So what your friends show you're like, oh, okay, that looks good. I can use tabs to play the guitar, learn these riffs, and like use the music, trust my ear and be like, oh, this, it goes like this, da 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 da, and then like the riff looks like this. Oh, it's the tab. Okay, and, kind of. I guess there was like a sense of logic in my journey. Because nobody really like came up and was like, hey, this is how you play guitar, this is how you pluck the string, this is how you fret this is how you play a chord. I just kind of watched Jesse and like try to imitate him at a sense, and but then eventually, I was like, I want to know what I'm playing, I want to know how I'm playing, I want to know, what's happening in the music besides, oh, just put your finger on this note and play, so that was kind of like the process from middle school up until, yeah, I guess high school, because thankfully I knew music theory because of band, because of saxophone and all that. They teach you from the start, when you first start, oh, this is how you play the notes, this is a quarter note, this is an eighth note, this is a half note, this is a whole note, this is how you, the durations for each one, this note goes up here, this interval's right here, blah blah blah. But like on guitar, it's just like a whole different world, and obviously, and I feel like that happens with a lot of guitarists too, that aren't guided the right way, of like, oh, let's just learn tabs and not learn notation, which still I don't know notation 100% yet on guitar. I'm still teaching myself that. But this is after college, I want to try to teach myself and all that, since I have the knowledge from college and saxophone. I kind of try to apply it to guitar, so it's a constant like journey in my head, I guess, just thinking. So that was kind of like the journey from middle school up to high school. So trying to learn and teach myself.
Nice, cool. Well, which bands are you influenced? Because you have a huge expert for music. Well, I guess because the saxophone
Yes.
is, when I saw you guys on the stage, my mind exploded. And wow, that's really cool. It's like jazz, like progressive, like, and after that I listen your singles and are really really nice, and oh wow, they have a metal and guttural voices, and switch with some kind of a ska, and
Yeah.
wow, and another point that jazz with some influences from bossa nova or something like, and wow, what are your influences?
Ooh, a lot, a lot of influences. It's hard to pinpoint exactly, but through my journey, I've kind of made like a general like idea or general, platter of, influences. So I guess my main one would I guess going in chronological order from, at young starting off would probably be like Stone Temple Pilots, Linkin Park. I love listening to Stone Temple Pilots, like especially years later now that I'm more conscious and aware of music. Like they had some awesome riffs, some heavy riffs, I'm like, okay. Listening now that like those were like near like, heavy metal, riffs, burn up, and like Vaseline and all those songs, Um, I feel like that I acquired that, sound from them, like the heaviness and stuff. And then after a while in high school, mainly like death metal and stuff and wretched metal, or yeah, they're like some tech death. Biggest influence I'd say, getting now to what really inspired me would be Between the Buried and Me. Those guys are awesome. And all the band too. We all love them. Our buddy Bob, he used to be the one of the drum instructors. When Ryan and Brady they were in percussion, I was in sax, but I would always see them hanging out and stuff. And every once in a while, I'd, go hang out with them on the bus. On the bus rides to like the band trips. And one friend, he had like a splitter, an audio splitter, so it had like one audio jack and it had 5 like ports. So all of us, we all put all of ours in, and we're just sitting there listening to Bob's iPod, or I guess he had an iPod at the time. I had a Walkman, but the iPod his iPod had so much music, and he showed us one band in particular, Between the Buried and Me, and I was like blown away from the time. I was like, what is this? This is nothing I've never heard before. Like, it's metal, but it's modern, and it's like, it has clean stuff, and it has, crazy time signatures that I've never even heard of, especially as a middle school, high schooler. Like, they don't show you that stuff in high school. 7/8 time, 9/8 time, all those odd time signatures, 5/8, 5/4, all those, So then listening to that, it was just, a whole other world. So then Between the Buried, I was like, whoa, like this is more crazy than Wretched, than All Shall Perish, when I was listening to them. And those guys are like, like super tech dead, fast, a lot of blast beats, But Between the Buried was adding everything. They were fast, they were riffy, they were groovy, and then they had like these clean parts. Paul Wagner was doing all these crazy solos. And I was like, who are these guys? So after that band trip, I went to Best Buy, and that was when they were, I don't know if they still sell CDs now there, but I haven't been there in a while. But I went there, and surprisingly there was 2 albums from Between the Buried and Me. Colors, which that is the biggest impact. I'll get to that in a second. But Colors and The Parallax 2, those 2 albums, like, I just bought it. I was like, Between the Buried and Me, okay, I'm buying them. Whatever is in there, I'm gonna listen to. And yeah, since then I fell in love. I was in my mom's car, I think my sister's car. Just plopped that thing. I just put it in the CD thing, and we're just listening to it on the way home. And I was like, whoa. My sister and my mom, they were probably like, what is this? But I was just sitting there, just digesting it all. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, what is this? So I had to listen to it over and over and over. And so I've been listening to them for forever. And yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, you're good. So then, yeah, I came to school one day, and I told Ryan and Brady, like, dude, I got this CD. Like, it's so fucking sick. Like that band Bob showed us. Like, I just been I bought their CDs, and I've been listening to them, and y'all have to listen to this. And I showed them Colors, and then Parallax. But the song that Bob showed us was Selkie's "The Endless Obsession" from album Alaska by Between the Buried and Me. And that album, since then, I've fallen in love too. All of the albums, I love them, but Alaska and Colors are like the most like those are the albums that impacted me the most as a musician. And I could probably say for the rest, even though Brady says he hasn't listened much of Alaska, but which you should listen to. But me and Ryan, yeah, we love Alaska too, and everybody else, Jeremy and Joey's listened to most of it. Need to get them to listen to more, but yeah, those riffs are iconic, and yeah, like listening to them and other prog bands too. After discovering them, like the Contortionists, those were really big impact on us as well. I love the Contortionists. They're probably right there next to Between the Buried and Me. Yes, the old progressive rock band. We heard them. I guess yeah. Whenever we were in College Station, we met the rest of the band members, and Joey and Jeremy, and like I don't know, we were just all just stoner college kids at the time, just fucking, just getting high and chilling in the rooms and smoking bowls and all that. And then we were like, hey, let's put this song on. Let's put this album on. Like, I don't care. Like, let's just listen to it. And we just sit there and just, literally all of us just sitting there. Like, you would think we'd be doing something bad, but no, we're just sitting there blasted out of our minds, just listening to the riffs that, Yes would play, Between the Buried and Me play, or Hacken would play, or the Contortionist, analyzing every riff. And then, by nature, we'd just be like, oh, that riff was so cool. We'd just like all freak out, be like, dude, I know that was so badass. Like, how did they do that? Like, out of nowhere, because we're all in sync listening to the music. So yeah, like that, a big part of that, is the substances, I guess, that, I can't deny that as a musician. Every musician has at some point, had that influence, and has applied it to their music. But I feel like it helped me augment my like listening skills. So now I listen to everything a lot more versus than like what I did before, all the instruments, all the tones in the background, learn to like pick each note or not each note, but each instrument out and like, just, oh, let me listen to that one. Let me listen for a second. So it all has that influence, And then eventually when I got into like college in Mexico, I started getting more, clean influence and, salsa, tango, all that, I was playing in actually some like big bands over there, kind of like we do some jazz, but we do mainly like popular Mexican songs like from Jose, Juan Gabriel, what was it? Julio
Iglesias from Spain.
Yeah.
Luis Miguel,
Luis Miguel, yeah,
he's
exactly.
awesome. Well, his musicians are awesome.
Oh yeah, exactly. They're incredible. So naturally, the band director there, he was like, I want to play all these songs. So he had our formation. I played saxophone. Obviously, I switched between baritone and tenor, whatever they needed. And I had my saxophone buddies there. And, well, just, making connections. I'd play that and then listen to more big bands so I could get an idea. And I had a jazz teacher there. Shout out Casper, if you ever see this. That dude is a monster. He plays flute and knows everything about jazz theory, and it's insane. Like, I learned so much from him, and he inspired me a lot to even pick up the flute. Another friend, Mariana, she was cool. She played classical flute and really good at that. Like, I'm like, I want to play classical flute because I love the way it sounds, and then jazz flute because, you don't hear flute as often. And, jazz, it's mainly saxophone, trumpet, trombone, or like, guitar, those like the main ones you hear soloing and stuff. But flute, it's there, but it's more rare. So that when you see it, it's like, whoa, it's a whole magical sound amongst, the jazz bass of what it is, and the harmony. And after that, I played in like a contemporary ensemble where we would just play more modern pieces of like the 20th century, like atonal type pieces, or some would be tonal but they'd be super dissonant, and then some would be just straight up like nothing. We like there was one of like numbers, and then each number had like a specific rule set that you had to do, and then there was like 8 sets of numbers and or 8 rows, and then like 12 sets of numbers. So each musician was designated. Oh, you're one, you're two, you're three, you're four, you're five, six, etc., etc. And then it's by Sarah Hennings. In case anybody wants to look it up, I forgot the name. Um, so don't be mad at me, compian. He was our director over there. But we would play stuff like that and be like, okay, you make this noise, you make this noise. We're all going right here on this row. And then the director would be like, okay, we're going on this row. This is the next noise you do. This is the next noise. So that kind of really inspired me to make more music apart from, metal and stuff and, you know, just riffs and stuff. So I would see those compositions from those composers, and that really sparked a huge influence. And then the classes I took in college uh, from La Maestra Garduño. Um, she's really cool, really strict teacher, one of the few strict teachers over there in Guanajuato. But she was good. She was really good. She taught me a lot. She was our ensemble like director at one point. She would, judge how we played in the ensemble of saxophones. Like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. So that helped me get better myself, but it also inspired me to look at more music, because she also did a different class over, like the 20th century called Gráficas Contemporáneos. And that class was really fun. So it showed music pretty much, in graphics, instead of notation that we normally see in music. You would have like a graphic of like, oh, okay, the bassoon is gonna play like this, wow, big noise like this, and then cut off right here. But it's only with like a drawing. So you draw it, and then you do some scribbles here, like make some dissonance here, and there's all sorts of rules. It's a whole other world as well. But thankfully, because of her, she showed me a whole bunch of that. Well, not me personally, but the class, of course. And I was the one of the few paying attention, because I love that class. All my other friends were like, "Oh, this is boring. Who needs to learn this stuff? It's modern. Blah blah blah. Who cares? Let's go practice Bach, or let's go practice, uh, Scarletti or something like that." uh, but there, I really got inspired from those pieces of music. Composer from the 20th century, Arnold Schoenberg, Austrian composer. He basically pioneered the atonal movement, which he kind of developed his own style of composition and then applied it, and it sounds really cool. It just sounds like scary music, movie music, as people would say. But it's more like methodical and planned out, because I don't know, he has a whole theory. We can get into that later, but those guys are like some of my main influence musically. A lot more behind it, but right now those, I'd say, made the biggest impact on me to want to do metal, want to do jazz, blues, classical, everything, and then want to do like atonal, and then now just combine everything into the band and see if the other guys can keep up and try to do something new, unique, each time, instead of the same, oh, let's make a riff and then let's get this beat over here and then, okay, we have a song. No, we don't do that. We work differently. We're like, we're doing this. This sounds cool behind this. Okay, this maybe doesn't work, so let's try something else. Let's be open. Let's find something unique and understand that we're here to make something unique and not the same, or like covers and stuff. Obviously there's nothing wrong with covers, and there's nothing wrong with like cookie cut riffs and stuff, as they say. But I feel like, if you really want to make an impact, make something new, unique, and use, like we mentioned earlier, about the having resources and stuff. Use your resources that you have mentally, and I guess materialistically too. In this case, I kind of rely a lot of it on material, or not material, mentally, personal, and then kind of like let the material things do their own thing. I try to work with them, but what's in my head, it's hard to kind of get out at once. So I have to, figure it out, I guess, just like every other musician too. But to keep it unique and weird, you really have to think ahead of what's already there, I guess, or what may be there. So it's a constant battle, as we would say, as a musician, as a composer, as a songwriter, as a interpreter, so that that your influences really should, come out in your own way, as your person. The other guys there, that's what I like about them too, because they are very unique in their own ways. And that's why we get along so well, because we can all throw something weird and try to, almost not necessarily one up each other or impress each other. Well, mainly impress each other, because it's like, man, that shit was crazy. Let's do something like that. Or like, that wasn't too crazy. Let's throw it in the other, like, I don't know. We don't really judge too much, but we're honest with each other, like when it comes to writing and creating something new. So,
nice. Yeah. Thank you so much, AJ, for that. It's really interesting because just I ask you about the influence, but the influences about music, it's really join with people, with teachers, friends, family. That's awesome. It's a really awesome answer. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Well, AJ, I want to ask you what equipment we will use on this episode.
Okay, on this episode, definitely I want to kind of go through some equipment, but definitely start off with the main equipment that I've been using lately. I've been going through phases, I guess you could say, throughout my life between equipment, but some things have stuck for a while, and some things have changed, and some things have been added, and some things have been, taken and molded. I don't know, but I guess we could start off with this guitar, since guitar memories, of course, yeah. And then come to the amps and stuff. But lately, what I've been using is this Ibanez or Ibanez para mis amigos in Latinoamérica. America is an RG7421. I really like it. I got it Marketplace. I got it on Marketplace, $200. I saw it because I needed an alternative. Well, actually, I have another LTD 7-string, but long story. I'll make it short. When we needed a bassist, Joey donated his bass to Ryan to play bass, and then I donated my 7-string to Joey so he could play, and then we both play guitar, and then Ryan plays bass. And now that guitar is with another band that really good friends of ours, Aphotic Contrivance. Shout out to them because they're like our sister band, I guess you could say. We played so many shows with them. I used to play bass with them. Now Joey plays guitar with them. So they have my other 7-string. But my main one, I don't know if we can put it I'll send you a picture later of the carving. Maybe you could put a picture. Yeah.
Yeah, if you share with me the picture, I will put it on there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But that one is my main one, the carving. I'll talk about that later. But this one here in the States is my main one. Our Ibanez. I really like it. I forgot the neck. What is Black Widow 2 or something like that, or Wizard 2 neck. Really nice, really thin, comfy. Chords are pretty nice. I can go into it pretty. Can I turn the volume? Okay, so I play it. All sorts of crazy tones. It has 5 switches, similar to a Fender. And yeah, it just has I'm assuming the original pickups. I haven't even looked to see what kind they are. I've had this for a couple of years now, and I haven't really dissected it. But I really like the pickups. They have a good sound, just a volume and a tone. The tuners, I believe they're stock as well. And yeah, this is my daily driver, as they say here. And I have this strap gifted by a friend, Kayla. She actually gave me two of them, and I've had these things for years. So thank you, Kayla. They've lasted me forever. And they're durable, and probably need to put some strap locks, but great straps. And cables, I use Nutric cables. I like them personally because they last me forever. I like things that are good quality, rugged. Like I have the one that's leading to the amp. I've had that one for about 10 years now, and it has not, but it hasn't cracked on me or anything. You know, I can mess with it. I've taken it. It's been here in Mexico several times. I take it back and forth, and it's still really good quality. So Nutric is the way to go, guys. Not sponsored or anything, but damn, these are some good cables. Because I don't like buying cables every month or something if they're like cheap, you know, and it's not very economic, and it's, you know, a waste of what's it called?
Yeah, you need to trust about the equipment you will use.
Exactly,
A stage or a record or jamming with your band.
100%, 100%. Yeah, you need to have gear that you can trust and that's reliable. And here's the backside, and everybody's waiting for that. I like this one. I personally like the 7321, I believe, which is the model before this one, and it had the two wood strips, the skunk stripes. This one has it, but they use the same wood. It's kind of hard to see, but you kind of see it better there, like on the camera.
Three pieces.
Yeah, or three pieces.
Pieces of wood, I guess.
Okay, yeah. So the other one would be similar, but you know they use the.
It's 5 pieces because okay. I don't know a lot. I learning about the luthiers when the guitars has more strings, need the structure really really hard structure, right? And they put different kind of woods together to the tension keep
stabilize. Okay, nice. Okay, yeah. So that's why I really like this Ibanez as well, because yeah, they do use good construction, but the 73 was like more noticeable, I guess, the wood. So it looked like a skunk stripe, as they would call it. And I don't know. I always thought that was cool because I saw the guitarist from The Contortionist. I believe it was Cameron, right? Cameron Lynch. I believe that's his name. But he had this Ibanez, the 7321, and that's when I saw them the first time, and I saw that Ibanez, I was like, whoa, that thing looks cool, and then it sounds super mean. I was like, wow, it's like really, really, really aggressive guitar for such beauty. And that kind of inspired me to find one, and then I had some friends that played guitar. They weren't as serious, but they kind of left. He left a 7-string and an 8-string in my house for a long time. I eventually came to and got them, but one of them was a 7321, and I played on it forever. And I was like, "Whoa, this thing is so cool! I'm half tempted to like steal this from you, bro, because you're never coming for it." So he came for it eventually, thankfully. But I really loved it, and then I played this one. I was like, more or less, but it gets the job done, and that's what I like. You know, I've learned to like love it now since it's all I have here. And I don't have money right now to go get another 7-string as much as I'd love to, but I make do with what I have, and this thing has been lasting a good while now. I've been playing it for
I think Ibanez it's really really good quality.
Yeah,
and it's not too expensive. Well,
the
the top game it's really expensive, but if you spend some money, you will get a really good instrument.
Yep. Exactly. For real, I do believe that as well. That you know, the higher price, in some cases, you know, the quality is kind of made up for it. But that's also the beauty of Ibanez too. This is a very economic range guitar, and it's very versatile. So that's really cool that Ibanez does that, and some other guitar brands too that have um, good guitars like that, and helps me especially as a broke musician. But
Well, can we listen your guitar?
yeah, of course, yeah. So we'll kind of get some tones going. I have
Oh, I'm sorry. Which amplifier and cabinet we will use?
okay, nice. I'm glad you asked that. So today I'm also presenting what I mainly use on stage, and you know I haven't really been practicing much with it because I do need to get new tubes. But this is the PV6505 Plus. Really cool amp, really gnarly, like aggressive tone. As you heard earlier, I was like, man, I need to turn this down because that right now the distortion is on one, and that it's super powerful for being on one. Like I feel so. If I was to crank it up any louder, it'd be crazy. We wouldn't hear anything. But we have this head, really good head. I love it, and this cabinet right here, which is a Randall XL. And little funny backstory, this was actually from the guitarist for the Faceless, Michael Keane. As everybody knows, he's like the main writer and singer as well now. I believe he does more singing than screaming when he doesn't have another vocalist. But this was his cabinet, and he sold it to me years ago too, about like 10 years now. I don't know. For some reason, I saw me post like a link on Instagram. He's like, "I'm selling this like $350," and I bought it. Shipping was like $50. I bought it for like $400, but he was cool and sent me a bunch of like merch, like a bunch of hoodies and shirts and stickers and posters to make up for it. That was really. He also offered me 2 free guitar lessons, which I'm still waiting for those. But eventually, but no, it was really cool. And I've liked the sound so far, but I'm not really like a huge fan on it. I like more this Marshall over here. I'm not sure if it'll get captured, but it's another 4x12. I like the clarity of this one. This one is just, I guess it just gets loud and it's powerful, but it's too muddy for me. So, but enough talking. Let's kind of hear some like clean action, because I like starting off with clean. So. Yep. So that's some of the clean tones right there. And yeah, I
Clearly,
do what?
it's really clear.
Clear, yeah.
The tone is really clear. That every single note you listen, it's really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I like I mainly use the what's it called, the neck pickups when I go into cleans. I guess if I was to do some like more like riffy stuff, I'd use the bridge, you know, kind of like some like kind of more punky stuff or aggressive. But then yeah, like when I get more intimate, I guess you can say, just like the neck, I like, you know, it's soft, but it's full, but it's still, you know, exactly present, like you said. It's not getting eaten up by distortion or like any extra kind of gain. So the cleans, because I also really like cleans as well. Obviously, as you can tell, in some of the music there's clean sections and there's a lot of aggressive sections. But I always want to have like a good tone on the clean side instead of just like, oh, like this is clean, you can tell it's clean, and then oh, this is distortion, this is distortion. I want to have a very distinguishable difference between both the high gain and the no gain. Mm-hmm. I like the cleans of this amp, but just me, you know, being picky, and everybody that knows me, you know, I'm a picky motherfucker. Like I don't like the cleans as much. They work, but personally, I would use cleans for like a Fender. I know it's basically the same thing, PV. They're from like Fender, but like Fender dedicated amps, they have really great tones. Or Ryan has one, a classic 30 PV, which is like basically the same wiring and everything as a Fender, but I think they like tweak some stuff. But it sounds just near as like a Fender's Blues 30 or whatever the Fender version is called. And those cleans, I love those like so much. I have a Fender amp as well, but it's not as near as like, you know, the classic 30 tone that I want. That those cleans are just like full, they're clear, they even more just like, I don't know, meat on the bone, like good quality meat, you know, instead of just a bunch of fat meat. It's like, I don't know, something about them. But then coming to the gain side, I really like the sound that I run the natural gain of the amp. I don't run any other like overdrive pedals or whatever, you know. Maybe eventually to tweak with some tones and like find a more unique tone. But right now I like pure amp sounds. So like any amp that I really go for, I try to find their gain limits or like their where it becomes, you know, distortion but not mud, you know, because I don't like mud. I like, you know, doom metal and stoner metal and all that, but that's not the tone that I particularly am going for. I'm going for more like yeah, like death metal, tech death tone, you know, not as much bass but more treble and mid, but like some bass, some oomph. So I'll kind of give an example here of like the tone, but and then I'll kind of talk about where I want to achieve more or less, but not copy because, you know, these guys are cool. But here's some of the high gain. Um, so that's kind of the idea. Mm-hmm. And but my main like high gain influences, like the tones, would probably have to be from Between the Buried and Me. I love, you know, Paul Wagner's and Dusty's whenever he was in the band. Like they both, like Dusty had that more like not devil but death metal influence, which sounds devilish, his tone. But then Paul had like, you know, more of like a prog, you know, Dream Theater kind of heaviness. But then both of them combined sounded really cool. Mm-hmm. And I love like, you know, Dusty's side, and I love Paul's side too. But then honestly, my 100% favorite tone would have to be Steven Funderburker from, sorry if I mispronounced your last name, but him from Wretched, Steven from Wretched, he has like an awesome like death metal, tech death tone. And I don't know, ever since I heard Beyond the Gates, that album, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like this sounds mean, this sounds like death metal, but they're not sacrificing so much, heaviness. I don't know how to explain it really well, but he had such a really cool tone that stuck to me, and like that was like my definition of like tech death, gain, high gain sounds, so that would be kind of my main influence for those sounds in that regards.
Nice. Thank you so much,
Of
AJ.
course, yeah.
Well, eh, when you were young, well, you was in the band at school, and you took classes because the reason to take classes it's go to performs a band, right?
Yeah.
But how you decide to, okay, I will join with some friends and create that band for create a rock band.
Man, I don't know, because at the time, funny enough, coming back to meeting Brady, his family's full of musicians, and he had a couple uncles that would come over and like jam and stuff. And then one day he invited me to like come and watch them jam. He's like, "Bring your bass so you can try to jam." I was like, "I don't know what to do. Like I'm a middle schooler. I don't know." I didn't think that, but I was like, "I don't know bass that well to jam." But then I went and watched them, and Brady, he's been playing drums for forever, so he's back there playing drums for his uncles and stuff. And I thought that was really cool. Uncles like, "Hey, nephew, you play drums? Get back there." Or like I don't know. I imagine it was kind of like that. And as young kids, that have talent, um, and older, um, you know, parents or uncles, siblings that play, it's really cool that they influence, the younguns. And then it that was very interesting to me seeing that. So then I saw Brady and his uncles playing. And then eventually Jesse, he was there. And then I don't know what came up with the idea, but one day, Brady was like, "Come over, bring your guitar, like jam. Jesse's gonna be there." Our other friend Jared Conley, he played guitar too, and like he wanted to play and stuff. Right now he's doing his own thing as well. Um, like we all started playing, and I don't know, I didn't think much of it at the time. I was like, "Oh, okay, we're just here having fun, and then we're gonna go play video games or whatever after, And, but then we just kept going after, and I had to beg my mom. She was like, "No, you just want to go over there and play a video game, blah blah blah, and just be dumb." And I'm like, "No, I really want to go like jam and essentially practice with them." That was my excuse, was to go practice. But then I really wanted to make music and play with them. Which thankfully after a while she's like, all right, whatever, as long as you're not doing anything bad. So, and then yeah, I think yeah. In high school, there was an opportunity to play for like the senior assembly. Ryan, he is a year older than, I think, like a couple years, but the grade, the grade, he was a grade above us, um, and he was graduating before us, so he was like, "Hey guys, you want to like make a band so I can play for my senior." Like outro, I guess they could say, like every senior has an opportunity to do like a performance or like say some words or like something. I don't know what the other stuff was, but I just know he was like, "Yeah, you want to play that?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." I was like, "Let's learn this song." So we all, I think that was like the start. I was like, "All right, I'm going to actually learn this song and play it right. That way I don't sound like a dumbass in front of the whole school." So I can at least, they know I can play guitar, and at least, practiced it and this and that. So like I looked up like the song on, what's it called? Ultimate Guitar, at the time. And those tabs, I was like, okay, let me learn it. Let me listen to the song, blah, blah, blah. The same process. Um, and then I finally learned it, and then Brady had it on drums, and Ryan was learning on guitar and singing too. So then we finally got together. We had some actual rehearsals because we were like, hey, if we're gonna learn how to play the song, we need to actually be in a room and play together. And and like figure out where we're messing up or we have troubles and stuff. It probably wasn't that profound that the way we were thinking at the time, but there was something in there. We were like, hey, we need to practice and play good for the show. So then there, I was like, all right, well, let's do that. And then eventually, I don't know. I guess we were just doing so well that we were like, fuck it, let's make a band. Let's start making original music because I really liked a lot of death metal at the time. Dieter's Murder, deathcore, I guess you could classify that. All Shall Perish, and a band called Signal the Firing Squad, which rest in peace, they're not together anymore, but they were really cool. Like those bands, I was like, man, I want to make something like that. I want to play something crazy like that. I want people to hear our craziness and not just like a cover of Coheed, even though we love Coheed, or like the Toadies, because eventually we like kind of reformed again after we finished high school and graduated, and we played a battle of the bands in our hometown. And it was against like 4 other bands, because obviously in our small town there's nothing there except like country and like maybe barely some rock, but mainly country and like blues. So we were like competing against like a couple of other like blues bands, and then like we did a cover of the Toadies, or what was it? I Come From the Water, and we played that and everybody loved it, and they voted for us to be the winner, and we won $1,000, and it was really cool. It was unique experience, but then after a while we're like, let's do something serious, and eventually we started playing more, writing more stuff, and then I guess some deep lore about me. I had a girlfriend at the time, my like official girlfriend in senior year, because my mom was like, no, you're not having girlfriends, blah blah blah. I don't know what her problem was, but typical Latina mom, with her little boy. But I had a girlfriend time, and I was like, I guess part of that emotional influence, of like falling in love and knowing what like having a relationship is like, blah blah blah. It's high school, let's keep in mind. um but that kind of inspired me to keep playing. That's naturally, with any musician, they like have emotional response, they project it through playing and stuff. So I was like writing stuff, and then like the guys were like, yeah, let's do this and do that, because I think we all had like girlfriends and little girlfriends at the time and stuff, and nothing serious, of course, but we're all just like, oh yeah, we want to play music and let our girlfriends see us, play music and see that we're playing. I don't know, so some bullshit like that. But it influenced, obviously made an impact for today, and then eventually Ryan moved to another city to study, and we were like, oh, what, fuck it, me and Brady, let's go. Like, we'll go. We have nothing else to do. We just finished high school, so let's go down there and try a life there and study down there. We didn't really study. We just dropped out, and then, or after, Ryan had a couple semesters. I only had like one. I don't know about Brady, but he probably had like a couple too. But we're just like, fuck it, let's just play music. And then eventually we started playing more, and then I met a friend. Well, I met Joey and Jeremy through the other another friend, and then eventually it was like, hey, let's make music together, all of us. And then we started adding our influences. Like Jeremy listened to a lot of like different metal and stuff like than what we were used to, and Joey was like more like traditional based metal, like rock and all that. And then our friend that introduced us, he was kind of like a mix of all of that, so he introduced us to them. And because apart from all that, we love gent and all that, like Meshuggah and Life Forms, Contortionist, kind of like gent too, like Volumes, Tesseract. We were like really getting into gent at the time, and I guess like we just like, all right, let's do some gent stuff. And like Static Travels from the EP has like some quote unquote gent influence. What was our idea of gent? And then we just kind of just started adding on to each other. And I knew like after that, I was like, well, let's be serious. Let's kind of like do that. Let's play some shows like with our original music and showcase that. And I didn't know anything at the time about how to get shows. I was like, who do you talk to get these metal shows? Nobody likes metal. like these days or like around the time, you know. It's like so it was so hard to make friends that really like listen to metal because everybody was like, oh, I listen to like normal music, I guess you could say, just pop or like rap and all this. And uh, but also at the time I was pretty like quote unquote closed minded, and I wasn't as open as I am today. Um, so I kind of limited myself at the time, but now I try to stay as open as possible so I can, you know, have influence from everybody and everything. So that's kind of mainly like some of the backstory with how the band became like serious. So, yep.
Okay, thank you so much, AJ. Do you want to switch the guitar?
Uh, yeah. You know what? We'll switch. We'll switch.
The red one?
Yeah. We'll bust it out because this is what I use now. Let me put this on. I use this one right now to teach with because I teach at a school, a music school. Oh. And sometimes they have guitars there, sometimes no. But I have this one, this Telecaster. It's actually an Austin. I had never heard of the brand before until one day. Yeah, exactly. Apparently they have some guitars, more of obviously like kind of like blues type guitars. And yeah, my brother just comes into the room one day. He's like, here, I have this for you. And I was like, what the, like, I had this one at the time, obviously the Fender. So I was just like, oh, this is all I need. And then he came in with this, and I was like, whoa, what is that? And then, I don't know. I kept playing it. Thankfully, I took care of it at the time because he gave it to me when I was younger. I guess probably like 15 or 16. I didn't think about maintenance or anything, but for the majority, it's still in good shape, and I use it now for like blues and jazz and cleaner stuff, and now to teach students because it's just, you know, compact, I guess you could say, and just gets the point across. You know, when you're teaching, you know, you don't need much, just to show them what a fretboard is and then like play this, you know. But it does need some maintenance now. The fretboard is kind of warped a little. I'll have to like bow it. I didn't have a chance to do it before because I've just been like, yeah, super busy, and I do need to give like a maintenance to all of them. But it works pretty good. I like it. It's got the Telecaster vibe. It has some like black strings. I definitely need to replace them because they were kind of cheap strings. But I didn't have anything at the time, so this was like the best I could do with this. So let me just tune it up a little. Get rid of my phone. Or put the phone right here. I should put it. And yeah, I like this one. It's fun. It's smooth to play. Decent tone. This is probably one of those guitars I'm probably gonna make it to like a project guitar, and just take it apart and put new hardware, like new tuners, new pickups, maybe a different pick guard. Maybe look at the electronics a little, because some of them are kind of scratchy, as they say. And I don't know what else, but I like this guitar, this Telecaster. I haven't played much shows or any. I don't think I probably did like a school thing with it one time, but that's about it. But I like the tone of it. It's got a nice little rock tone. Yeah, I like the way
Mm-hmm.
it feels, tone more or less. You know, you kind of find the tone in your fingers, they say at that point. You know, kind of mess with it so it's not so scratchy. You know. Yeah, definitely the electronics need to be messed with a little because some parts it feels kind of like way quieter.
Nice, cool. Thank you so much.
Of course, of course.
Well, eh, I want to ask you about hoping all the theories exist. How how long are you playing together?
Ooh, yeah, I guess about 10 years now. Yeah, we started about 2015. In a more serious way, about 2015, 2016. Middle school and all that, we were kind of jamming, and some would count that, you know, as when we first started. I would count that as well, but, you know, we weren't as serious back then. We were just, you know, trying to figure out our sound ourselves, obviously, as kids and stuff, you know, trying to figure out what we really want to do. Is like, is this fun or is this not fun? But after a while, yeah, we thought it was pretty fun, and we just like, okay, let's kind of make it serious. We all had these like journeys together, I guess you could say. Bonded together a lot and a lot of stuff, and had like these like trauma shared moments that we've all like had amongst each other, and that kind of like fertilized our relationship. Um, all of us, you know, especially us three, kind of like the quote unquote original first members, Brady, Ryan, and I. Like we're pretty tight, so we're pretty. We've been together for a while as friends, and then, you know, the band, we were like, fuck it, we love music, let's do something serious. You know, I went to school for it, and so we've been together for like 10 years, but I guess like officially, let's say like 4 or 5, cause like when we were playing shows, and now that I'm back and everything, now we're kind of like picking it up again where we left off and trying to gain what we lost throughout the years. So, but yeah, about like 10 years now,
Yeah.
more or less.
Well, I see you guys on the stage, and when you are on different waves, right? Because you sing, you play the guitar. Well, the once time I see you, just three, but you are 4 people, right?
5.
Ah, five.
Yeah, in
Oh,
total
okay.
5, yeah.
Okay, and you loop something in the guitar and switch with the saxo. It
Yeah.
was really really nice.
Thank you.
How you ensemble all of that?
It's kind of challenging. You kind of really have to think about it, but I guess to get it, you know, assembled and then put it into an ensemble form, it's more of like, you know, jamming with the band too. And I think of these ideas too in my head all the time. I'm like, man, what if I tried this? And I do a lot of experimentation. Like when I'm with them, they'll like see me bust out a weird instrument. I'm like, all right, let's try something real quick. I'm like, y'all do this, y'all do this. like Brady and Ryan, like when I'm with them, and then eventually, with the sax, obviously they know I play sax, and we played in middle school and all that, and we've jammed with it before. Nothing serious again, but now, after school, I have a couple of friends that are composers, and sometimes they write like quartets for sax, or like jazz quartets too, and I want to kind of do the same thing. Like I write some on my own on MuseScore and stuff, but I really wanted to integrate it with the band because I'm like, well, I play saxophone everywhere in Mexico. I toured all of Mexico playing saxophone and with the country band in the Midland. Shout out Karen. Um, she's really cool. Good homie. So the sax, I'm like, you know what? I have it with me everywhere. I might as well play it with the metal band that I'm in, something unique, something different, because you don't see sax with metal as much. And then when I decided to put it together, I was like, well, let's find some sections that we have in our music that's, pretty like ambiental and all that, or like has a lot of space, and let's put the sax there and kind of see what we can do, because a lot of our riffs are already written. We have the album written out pretty much. It's all in like a folder full of tablature that me and Joey, we stayed up working on it for these past couple of years until like 4 or 5 in the morning, like every night for like months or years in this case. But a lot of it is pretty technical and stuff, so it'd be hard for me to switch between. So right now in this case with this writing process, I'm trying to fit it in the opportunities that I can allow Joey to fill like the rhythm guitar parts, and then if I don't have the loop pedal, if he's not there, I'll use the loop pedal, and then kind of just me trusting in them to like hold it down, because mainly I play and quote unquote the leader in this case, and I direct too sometimes, and like whenever there's some sections that are like challenging to transition, I'm like, all right, we're right here guys, boom, and then like but I can't do all of it at once, obviously at the same time, so I have to find moments of when I can set the guitar down, let those guys do it, trust in them, and then go on my solo and just and but writing in this case, it's, and for me, I guess it's a little bit more like methodical and planned out, and because I don't want to put just something random saxophone behind something metal riff, I want it to be a little bit more thought out and serious in this case, quote unquote. So like with writing it, I'd have to think of like the performance stage too, versus oh, I can put all this and then in the studio we record it, but then boom, how are we gonna do it live? Mm-hmm. Like nobody really thinks of that last step until all of it's written and stuff, and it's like, all right, this is badass, but how are we gonna do it? Well, you'll probably need an extra person to play saxophone in that case, and well, I don't have the money to be contracting other saxophone players right now. I don't have. My good buddies are all in Mexico. I'm pretty sure some would be cool at a certain price if they were here playing with me, for me. But then some of the saxophone players here, they kind of charge a good amount. And I totally understand that because I'm a saxophone player too. I charge those rates too. But I wanted to do it myself. I'm like, you know what? Like, I love playing guitar. I love guitar with all my heart too. But then like saxophone, I have that resource. I have that talent. I have that ability. I want to put it out there, apply it and see how it works, and then thinking writing in the future, use extra brain power to be like, okay, this goes like this, and this is going to go like this, and then I'm going to do this, and then so-and-so is going to do this, and then this is how it's going to go, blah, blah, and then I'll come back, and then et cetera, grab my guitar, and then we come in, bop, something like that, so it's like, it's a process, but thankfully a good portion of it comes naturally too. Like the like, for example, the song that you heard at the concert, Corner of the Sphere, we've played that one for a while, and it was just by itself, and originally it was just a bass solo with Ryan, and then eventually they were like, fuck it, let's add a sax solo, and then I started playing with it, and I've been playing with it for a while. I'm like, all right, I like this. So been adding that, and eventually I want to do flute, but the sax, it's iconic because it looks crazy, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's really amazing performance when you are on the stage. Well, uh, what is in the future about hoping hoping all the theories exist?
That's a really good question, actually. But I'll try to give you a solid answer. So the future for us mainly is to get some more records out, play, keep writing. I My main goal right now is just to keep making something weird and get these guys organized. Sometimes it's like herding cats with band members. Everybody, any band leader knows what I'm talking about. Trying to get stuff organized. People together. But that's part of the process too, and I'm down for it because music is my life, and even though I've stepped my foot in pretty much a lot of things throughout my life, I still have a lot to keep testing out. um, I've realized that this band is what I want to do. The metal, this genre, this weirdness is what I want to do with my friends, and so I really want to get serious. Yeah, put out some records. Play more shows. Eventually, do some tours. Make some friends, but I guess gain some popularity so people know us, quote unquote popularity. I don't want to be popular, but I just want people to listen to our music and then have fun at the shows because uh, I don't know. It just warms my heart. I might get emotional here, but hearing people, freak out over the music, and I love that. I just any music, I freak out to all my favorite bands. I'm like, yeah, whoa, and then like lately, I guess busting out the sax for these concerts, and people are like, "Oh my God, saxophone!" I've never heard that before, even in Mexico, because in Mexico it's like normal. It's like, "Oh, ese güey va a tocar saxophone." Well, qué chido, no sé qué, blah blah blah. Suena muy bonito saxophone, but here it's like, "Oh my gosh, saxophone!" I don't know.
Yeah,
It feels different. I love that, and it's not like an ego thing. It's just like if I can play saxophone to make you feel cool or like feel something or like because
it's because your art it's honest and you are doing the music honest and that connect with people. That's the reason. Well, when I saw you, all you guys, but the way you create music, it's honest and I really connect. And when I arrive home and I talk with my wife and oh those guys, I love it. What guys? Some guys with like jazz and metal. What? She said, "What? Yeah, but they are so cool." And the guitarist played the saxophone, and wow, that's amazing. I really love it. And the day after, I just listen your music and wow, and hey, they have a ska, and but it's not don't feel forced because some bands looks pretension
exactly.
and no it's because it's honest and you just described I feel emotional because the people come to me and say hey that's really cool because the music and the art it's good with you when you connect with people and you connect with people when it's honest uh, and you make me feel like this when you told me before it's honest your podcast is
Real.
I'm talking with humans and I'm talking with people who really love music. I love music. I this is my way to create music. I don't know if I'm helping people, but I know the people are helping me to keep doing music this way with cameras with and I listen new music and I learning a lot music. I learning about how the people live their lives and through the music and I really appreciate these moments and
Of course, of course.
thank you so much and
Of course.
I just told you it's honest when you play saxophone, when you play guitar, when the people are really interested on your music. It's because you guys do the music with heart, with soul. It's not like right now we have AI,
Exactly.
all the AI for everywhere. Pictures, music, movies, videos, whatever. But where is the soul? Where is the heart? Where is that?
Where's the consciousness?
Mm-hmm. And the people go uh, concert to listen real music for real people. Yeah.
Exactly. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to ask you something. I'm talking with some guests before, but I get noticed when I meet you, when I met you. Yeah. And this day when I was doing the video blog about Hawthorne Theater and some visits before, I looked the bands, the scene, and I noticed people came for the concerts, but do you remember the last band?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are from Austin.
Bludgeon the Week. Bludgeon. Can't pronounce the first name, but yeah.
Yeah, I will.
Austin, yeah.
I will put. And I remember just you, the bass player.
Yeah.
A little girl
Yeah.
and me.
Yeah.
No, nobody else. And why? Why? What is happening with the? It seemed just go for look. Band I like it and I left.
Yeah, I never understood that either. It's just like, well, I did understand, or I don't understand, but then again, I do understand because, obviously when you want to go see your favorite band, you're like, oh, I want to see them like right now. This like fuck all the other openers and stuff. I'll show up late. I've had friends like that. But I don't know. I like seeing all the new bands, like all the new music, and I just don't understand why people don't want to stick around to see that. That obviously we want to see our favorite band. Everybody wants to see their favorite band, and that's perfectly fine. But I feel like as listeners, because right now we're coming to like kind of more of a listener's perspective instead of a musician or like, well, I guess musicians obviously are listeners too, but when we're not playing, we're kind of like out to the side. So then we have normal people that listen, to music outside of, that don't practice or play all the time like we do. So, I don't know. I feel like, those people should learn to expand their palettes, because it is hard to digest new music. At the end of the day, you want to listen to what you want to listen to and, chill out. And then go the rest. But since music is such like a delicate art, I feel like we should at least try to force ourselves to like listen more and stay, especially out of everything, support other bands, because it's hard out there. It's hard impressing this new generation because of everybody's attention span, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And then again, like how we are evolving, even people my age and a little bit older, like their attention span's weird. And it's like, I get everybody, not everybody is like perfect and stuff, but at least, music, we're all listening to music. Nobody can deny that, we're all in one room and then somebody starts banging on a drum. We're all going to know that's a drum, that sounds like a drum, or someone plays any kind of horn. We're like, okay, that's like that's some sort of, wind instrument or brass instrument. So we all hear the stuff, so there's no reason for us to lie and, well, I guess quote unquote lie, but be like, oh, I just don't like listening to this other music because of this and that. That's just one of those things you need to develop, as a listener, because Me personally, yeah, I didn't start listening to like, the death metal and stuff I mentioned earlier, but I didn't like it because I thought it was too crazy and stuff. But then after a while, I eventually developed the taste, the palate for it, and I'm like, okay, I really like this. I really like this now. It's naturally it's hard for anybody to hear like screaming music and like dissonant guitars, like to find appealing. So it's which I obviously that is the I feel like part of the purpose of metal, punk, rock is to sound like shit so people don't like it, and Nirvana kind of did that back in the days, he didn't or Kurt Cobain, he didn't want people really liking his music, it's like his what is it? His protests, against like the music world and stuff. But then ironically everybody started loving his music. So it's like it's a weird world, and it's like hard to catch people's attentions if it's not like intricate or if it's not like catchy in the first like 2 seconds or if it's not full of like featured artists that everybody loves. It's hard to impress people like that, and I feel like in my case, or in our case as a band, in order for us to like be relevant and alive, you kind of have to be weird and do weird stuff instead of what everybody else is doing. Because in like this day and age, we have social media. So if you have music on your platform, on your band, people that see that festival, well, not all the people. I'm one of those people that, but we look at all the bands and you're like, all right, I'm gonna look up every fucking band. I want to see what they sound like and this and that, like, oh, okay, this sounds crazy. I'm definitely gonna check them out. Okay, this sounds the same. Probably won't stick around. Maybe you'll stick around to support, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's what catches our flavor, and it's hard to convince people to stay and support. It's like forcing someone to watch like a movie they don't like or something. And it's like, well, why would I sit here and watch this? Or like, why would I sit here and listen to this? And it's like part of it obviously is like what you like, but I feel like a huge part of it is learning to train yourself to listen to new things, because eventually you will like it. It like you don't think about it now, but the more you listen to it, it's a whole psychological thing. I'm pretty sure there's like some studies of it, of like forcing patients to listen to this one thing and they eventually like it. But that it's true, it's like without the force, if it's present around you, you'll eventually learn to like it. But not everybody is always surrounded, around those cases of like, hey, give this a listen and open your mind and try to, learn to love it, I guess. That way you can help support them. It's a weird world. So but Bludgeon the Week, those guys were fucking sick, bro. They reminded me of like early The Irish Murder. That's why I stuck around. I was like, all right. So I kept listening. I was like, okay. Because I listen to everybody. Like anybody that sees this, watches this podcast, I've listened to you. I've heard you. We probably don't talk much or whatever, but I'm creeping on everybody, not to be a creep, but I listen to y'all's music. So I analyze and I don't judge, but I listen. I'm like, okay, this riff's cool. Like, hopefully they play this at the show. They're playing something completely different that's not on their discography. Even better, I get to witness something. So you have to like really train yourself to be open to those opportunities. And in my case, I feel like if it wasn't for visual arts and plastic arts and, theater and all that at the school that I was studying at, because school was cool, but it sucked how we were all like in one big bunch. The theater kids were over there making noise, and then the band kids over here practicing, and then you have the art kids up here drawing and stuff of what theater kids are doing. And like, it was kind of annoying, but I was glad because in that school they would have, art exhibitions from the students right there, free, everything. I'd just be walking, I'd be going to class, and then they have an art exhibition. I'd be like, okay, let me check this out real quick. I'd look at all the drawings, all the sculptures they did. I'm like, holy shit, this is badass. Like, I wish I could stay longer, but then I gotta go to class. So then I go to class, and then if I'm lucky, it'll still be after class. And, like just seeing that or going to theaters. I was fortunate enough too. There was a lot of theaters in Guanajuato Capital, and I went to a bunch of like plays and concerts too. Obviously, I played concerts in multiple theaters there, but I've also been to a bunch there, and because they have all sorts of orchestras, some like big bands, some like some salsa bands, all that, and I just learned to like train myself, and I feel like that's what people should do. It's easier said than done, and not everybody's willing to be like, you know what, fuck everything I like. I want to try something new, but then I don't know. It's kind of like like your comfort food. You go out and try new foods, but then at the end of the day, you want your the food that you like to eat or like to cook. It's like fuck it, fuck everybody. I'm eating this. I'm happy. I see that with music too because I love food too. But so everybody try to be open minded.
Well, AJ, I have some tough questions.
Okay, lay 'em on me. Lay 'em on me.
What is your favorite album?
My favorite album? Ooh, that is a tough question. But I'll make it easy because honestly, I have a tattoo of it. And it's Dark Side of the Moon. I'm going to cheat and say two because it's hard. It is hard. It is hard to choose. But this one is a mix of Dark Side of the Moon and Colors by Between the Buried and Me because they have an album cover, which you'll see it soon, of a black and white city, and then the colors, which according to the lore of from what I've heard, that the colors from the Dark Side of the Moon, the Prism album, are like coming into the city of Between the Buried and Me. So when you look at the colors, they're coming out either from the side or the top. I don't remember, but you only see these colors. You don't see any like reference of Pink Floyd or anything. It's just these colors going into the city, and they're like all weird and coming down. Obviously, like some sort of abstract spectralism art type thing. It looks really sick, and that inspired me. Like the art itself, and because I saw it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is sick! I kind of want to jam this album." And then, boom, and then listening to it, I was like, "Whoa, this is a lot to digest." But after a while, I was like, "Yes, this is awesome." So that album, Colors, honestly.
Nice, thank you so much. And what album do you recommend for guitarists?
For guitarists, ooh, that's another hard one. Dang, I guess one album that I would recommend for guitarists, like a general album, like for all genres.
Yeah, an album, not a song because we have different kind of songs. Yeah, but all the concept, the album. You said, oh, the job on this album, it's amazing, and every single guitarist needs to listen.
Dang, that's a tough one, but honestly, right now, what comes to my head would have to be "Quiet World" by Native Construct. Um, that album is really good because not only does it feature a lot of great guitar work, but it features all sorts of instruments, like classical as well. And I feel like as a guitarist and guitarists in general, apart from staying open minded, you should like really observe techniques of other instruments because those can still be somewhat applicable to guitar. And then if like you can use that um, with guitar, that's awesome. But if not, the guitar work in that album in general is just insane. I forgot his name, the composer, Miles something, but it's a band from Berkeley. So they all formed together, monster musicians, vocalists, both guitarists, the bassist, drummer was insane. But then the main composer was one of the guitarists, and man, and naturally he's a guitarist. That's what he went and studied for. So he plays classical, he plays metal, and all that shit too. So the what he did as a guitarist is very impactful because he, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just the way he uses the guitar as like a main bass, but it's also like a primary star, I guess. Like the vocalist in this album is the main star in this case. He's the one telling the story, and you can tell that like his vocal lines are all unique and dedicated, but the guitar it's just like holding it's like the castle of this album. It's like holding everything. It's doing the technical stuff, it's doing the harmony, it's doing crazy like extended techniques in this case, because they have some crazy extended techniques. Well, not crazy, but they add them in there. So he's just kind of doing a little bit of everything while allowing all the instruments, because he has, all sorts of strings, he has all sorts of winds, he has all sorts of brass. The bass is still very present. The drums are keeping it metal, but also following the changes of the time signatures to keep it classical in a sense. And I don't know, it's just that album I would really recommend. Native Constructs, Quiet World. Very, very interesting album.
Thank you so much. I will listen. I never listened.
Yeah, Jan, I'll send it to you later. It's very good.
The podcast is an exercise for me. For the people, the subscribers are watching the videos, the different kind of albums that my guests recommend and their favorite albums. Sometimes are the same albums.
Yeah.
I started thinking one album, it's on the top. And Just Is For All from Metallica.
Yeah, that's a good album.
A lot of guitarists talk about this album. Oh, wow. I really love it. I feel more, it means more for me, Kill 'Em All or Ride the Lightning. But I listen again and wow, it's an amazing album for guitar. Well, if the money is not a problem for you, what guitar you will buy?
Well, guitar, dang. That's a good question. I'd probably have to be. Oh, that is a good question. Because now I think if money's not an option, then I'd probably get one of those really expensive like Fenders Strats that are like $16,000.
Oh, wow.
Like a brand new car almost. Not for any particular reason, I guess, just because it's like 16,000. But if I was, in a position that I didn't have the money and like I needed something, I'd probably get like a custom Kiesel guitar. I'd have to customize it to my specifics, but more than likely a 7-string Kiesel.
A really great brand.
Oh, they are. They are really great brand. The Carvin that I have in Mexico, it's really nice. I love that guitar so much. And Kiesel, I can only imagine that they're like they have upgraded since then, so I can only imagine how good they are. But I'd definitely give me a customized Kiesel, to my likings, to my fittings and everything. Something for me, that way I can feel comfortable, and something that lasts a good while. Because I like rugged stuff. Even if I have money, like I want something that lasts forever. So even if I had the money, I guess. But
thank you. Well, AJ, I look at you on social media and you publish every single day an exercise. You said we are on day
39. Today would be day 40.
Day 40.
When I record it today. But
okay, and you played some exercise. How you create that routine?
That routine, I guess, it isn't very guitar based. When I come to these exercises and routines and stuff, comes from the saxophone. So whenever I was in college, that was probably the most I've ever practiced in my life. I'm not the best yet either. I still have so much to practice, but I would practice, like minimum 5-6 hours a day, at least try to get 8 on saxophone. And that it's hard. It's hard to dedicate that many hours constantly, And I would do that. I would try my best, not to burn out and stuff, because I'm human too. I need to get outside. I need to go talk to people. I need to eat food. I need to drink water instead of practice all day. Play some video games, relax. So, but I knew at the time I needed to get better at saxophone. So I'd practice. I have my books. I have all sorts of studies that my teachers throughout the years have given me. And I would make that my routine. I'd start with the 25 daily exercises from Closet on saxophone. knock those out, do my 12 James Ray etudes, and then boom, start on my repertoire that I needed to get done, like actual, like done, for tests and stuff. They assign a repertoire each year to do of like, a certain amount of music. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's short but technical, but then it could be fast or long and like a little bit easier in this case, something you can breathe through. But I would apply that now, and even in college too. If I had some time, I'd practice at least 2 hours of guitar. Try to hour minimum. But now that I don't have to practice sax for classes or anything, I don't have that stress on me. I can apply those same techniques to guitar. I'm not very fluent on guitar, but some of the things that I do on sax, I'll do it by ear. I'll be like, oh, I played this like this, so let me try to figure out on guitar, by ear, like the scale or like the fourths, like the something like that, kind of apply it, get it from sax, do that, just do that all day, go, all right, let's do the next try to keep me sharp and stuff. So like, major scales and all that too. And then this, the scale and thirds for your major. Then your arpeggios and stuff. I would do that constantly on sax, on all 12 tones in the sax here. You can do all 12, but it gets kind of boring because it's like the same thing. I say boring, I should practice it more. Keep doing it, but that's like the differences and the advantages I see of guitar and saxophone, because you have a lot of visual on guitar. You can see your guitar, everything, apart from hearing. But on sax, it's all like this. And your eyes are like this. I can't look down at my fingers if I wanted to.
You can.
Exactly. I have to like have a tube going down here, but so then I do a lot visually or mentally, like from saxophone, because I had to memorize all 12 major scales by memory. Of course, my teacher was like, "You got to learn all these, bro," and I'm like, "You're right." So I did. I like learned them. Thankfully, the muscle memory is there, and then I can just try to apply some techniques. There's a lot I still need to learn on guitar, of course, but thankfully to sax, it kind of gave me like a boost in a sense to kind of like know what I'm doing, a better ear, when soloing and stuff. And that's kind of like my routines, and there's a lot more in-depth stuff. In case y'all want to take lessons one day from me, I can help y'all. But that's like the majority for my personal practice routines.
Nice. Thank you so much. Well, what advice do you have for new guitarists?
New guitarists, a lot of advice, but my main advice would be just keep practicing. The classic, everybody says that I always practice, but it's true. I've had teachers tell me all the time, you got to practice. And even like when I go and play for other people, like, you didn't practice, or you got to practice, bro. Like, that applies and it reflects to your performance. So practicing is very important. Keeping yourself sharp, even the boring stuff, nobody wants to do scales all day, it's boring. I get it, of course, but it helps a lot. So like just doing that, maintenance, if you can learn how to do maintenance to your guitar, that's very useful. I didn't know shit about guitar back then. I was just like, oh, you just grab it, you press the buttons, you play, blah blah blah, this tunes it to keep you in tune. And there's more than that, weather you want to take care of, you don't want to leave it in a trunk in the middle of winter or in the middle of summer. You're going to warp it, you might fry your electronic. That's probably over exaggerating, but the wood definitely takes a toll because all of our guitars are made out of what, a good 90% of them, except the weird guitars, but those are cool. But maintenance, definitely, change your strings, make sure stuff. Oh, check your electronics. uh, make sure your hardware isn't rusted, because after a while it affects tone. And apparently, I feel like it does, for certain things. And then my third thing of advice would probably be, cliche thing, just never give up. Especially if you're serious, take that shit serious. I don't care what age you're at. If you're seeing this at like a young age and you're like, I don't know what to do in my life. I have a guitar and I really like guitar. Keep playing guitar, bro. If you're looking this at an old age and you don't know what to do yet with your life and you played guitar before and you're like in a shitty 9-to-5 job, come play guitar and like use that as like your way to vent, because music is about expression, emotion. We're sensitive people, musicians in general. You could tell I'm about to cry again talking about it because I love music, bro. I want the best for all my students, all the people that do want to practice and get serious and play music in general, because this is our life. It seems like a basic common life, quote unquote, because music is all around us. We hear it on the radio, we hear it at the store, you hear it at your schools, you hear it, when you're at your aunt's house, at your grandma's house, whoever's house, they're going to have music. The commercials, they're going to have music. The ads, they're going to have music. Music's all around us, even, when the Industrial Revolution happened, people considered that shit as music. Engines and all that. That was music to some people and composers, and it sounds weird, but I feel like it's 100% valid, and I feel like, we should just learn to understand music more and appreciate it and dissect it instead of just like, oh, this is a chord. You're a guitarist, like it's not just that, we start off with that because music is fun and it's about enjoying, but there's more profound things to music, for us, more experienced people that have been in it for a while, we see other things about music besides, oh, I can play this, or I play this song, or this guitar has this pickup and stuff. It's a lot of it. Music's everything, I feel, literally and figuratively, because we're all frequencies at the end of the day. So, so yeah, of course.
You so much. Of course. Well, do you have some concerts soon?
Soon, I'm not sure anytime soon. Right now, we just had a concert. Right now, we really want to buckle down and get onto the recording and stuff. We're gonna try to get some concerts soon. Tours kind of in the talks right now. Small tour, but we would definitely want to expand. Get out to everybody else and meet some more people that aren't just from Texas. We love Texas, but the majority of us have been living here forever, so we kind of want to get the fuck out of here and check some other places out. But for sure, 100% new music. We're going to start getting on the content bullshit, social media. Everybody hates and loves it. We're kind of in a mini battle ourselves with it, but I gotta make sure something happens, as the leader and stuff. But music, 100%, that's never gonna die. That's always number one priority for us. And yeah, just hopefully you'll see us back here again. Maybe some other kind of like type of interviews. Definitely see the other guys and on here, which yeah, we love to just keep participating with you and like other people, staying connected. We just love doing everything. We're gonna be doing everything, but as older guys and me getting back here from the United States, it takes a while. Or coming back from Mexico to the United States, it definitely takes a while. As humans, and but we're doing it. So that's what we're mainly excited about. I'm getting these guys together, and we're gonna be playing music, or we're gonna be releasing more conceptual ideas, because this album's actually going to be pretty good once we finish it. Uh, just to hype it up, I guess, because we've had it forever. But yes, we're going to get it done. Those who do know. Those who don't know, be ready, because yeah, we're going to pour our heart and soul into this one too.
Okay, we are we are looking the social media to know what is the concerts of the new music, or
Yeah.
well, where the people can contact you for new gigs, for booking, for new music.
Right now, contact us through our Instagram DMs, Facebook DMs. Facebook's kind of weird for us. I'm trying to get on that, but primarily Instagram, hoping all theories exist all together, and then Facebook, hoping out there's exist as well. We have YouTube. Um, our YouTube's kind of weird. You can find the videos though on my personal page, Ebert Lozada, and to contact about shows and like any other podcasts or anything. Contact me personally, catsalad419@gmail.com. That's my personal email. Funny email, but that's where that's where you can contact us primarily, and you'll actually get a response. These other guys kind of weird with that stuff, so I do mainly that. So and what else?
This mail is for classes too.
Yeah. Contact me there for lessons as well. I'll probably send you a flyer for the lesson thing. But yeah, guitar lessons, saxophone lessons, piano lessons, songwriting, some composition. I've worked from beginner to intermediate. So advanced too. If you'll have questions as well, so contact us there. And yeah, we're gonna make like TikToks and all that soon. So which will provide that in the future. But for now, Instagram and personal email for the best contact.
Yeah, don't worry. This is your stage. This is your episode. Your contacts for classes, for whatever you want to save on the camera. It's you're
My
the star.
opportunity. Yeah, nice. Thank you.
You're the star on this episode on Guitar Memories. Well, before end, I really want to say thank you. Your story, it's amazing. It's really emotional. I just told you, you connect your influences with people, with the part of human of music, right? And it's not just your influences, it's just the way you create music. Means a lot for me. I really enjoyed this interview. Uh, I hope see you soon on the stage or listen new music about hoping all the theories exist. Um, I really connect with you because you're Latin American like me,
Yep.
but well, you're more involved on music like over here. But I'm learning during the podcast. No matter where you are or what what it's your age, what is your taste. If you love music, you just enjoy the music, just a listener, or you are a performance, or whatever. All of us love the music. Uh, Different taste, different influences, because you said music it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Of course.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for opening your house for guitar memories.
Of course.
And
Anytime.
yeah, I hope see you soon, and I hope in the future we uh, meet again.
Yes, of course we will. We will
Thank you
stay in
so
contact.
much.
Of course, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's very, very fun. I've never done this before. We've never been asked to do anything like this, and it's an honor. And we definitely take advantage of the opportunities that are provided to us. So thank you as well.
No, it's my pleasure. My pleasure, really. Well, guys, thank you so much to being here. I told you, support the bands, support these guys, and keep playing.
Yes, keep playing.
And this is Guitar Memories. I'm Julio Diaz, AJ Lozada.
Also, one last thing, we do have an EP that is coming out soon. I don't know official date. We did release a single, and it's a split EP with our favorite band I mentioned earlier, Aphotic Contrivance. It's been a logistical nightmare these past couple of months, but we're getting it done, and we're very excited to present that for you guys. It's going to be called Hate Photic, and the rest should be soon coming to you guys. You can listen to the first single, Paralyzing Dissonance, on all platforms, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys as well. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And remember, subscribe, press the thumb up, and keep playing.